What's good, you too, man? It's your boy SB, and I'm back with another sports break. Now, the NBA season has been heating up. We're coming around the corner to the playoffs, which is a really exciting time for any NBA fan that's going on around now. I've been gone for a little bit, so I decided to make a video kind of talking on some of the headlines that's been going on so far this NBA season. So without further ado, let's go ahead and jump into this video. Very first thing we're going to be talking about here is the Los Angeles Lakers. Now, Lakers is a huge franchise, one of the biggest franchises in the league, and they have a huge following, a lot of fans, and a lot of people that support that team around the globe. This season has been an up and down season for the Lakers, and a lot of it been placed on the feet of Russell Westbrook. Now, Russell Westbrook is one of my favorite players, my favorite overall player in the league right now. And I've been a Russell Westbrook fan for a long time, so I definitely understand, the woes that people are going through. But I'm here to let you know, as a person that's watched Russell Westbrook his whole career, this ain't nothing different. He's the same Russ. This is what he's been doing. He's always been turnover prone. He's never been able to shoot the ball consistently. It's just that he never played for a franchise big enough for people to really notice it. In my book, Russell Westbrook is an MVP caliber player. Russell Westbrook is definitely a Hall of Famer. And Russell Westbrook his career is kind of cemented. The one thing that he doesn't have on his ledger is a championship, and it doesn't look like he's going to be able to get that with the Lakers, at least not this year. And I don't foresee him being with the team next year. So I don't think he's going to be able to get that now. But I don't put a lot of the blame of what happens with the team with the Lakers. I put a lot of the blame what happened with this team on Anthony Davis and his inability to be healthy. Like, what's going on with this guy where he cannot be on the field to support the team? In my book, Anthony Davis is the best player on that team, and he's missed more games than he's made. And any team that's going to be missing their best player for extended periods of time is going to struggle. They're not going to have the best record in the world. Now, most people would debate that LeBron is the best player on that team. And historically, yes. I mean, overall, yes. LeBron is a better player than Anthony Davis, especially since he's available at most point in times. And the season that he's put on has been amazing. LeBron's tried to do everything in his that's possible to try to carry this team into the playoffs. Kicking and screaming, he's dropping 50-point games, 60-point games. He's 37 years old, and I think he's close to leading the league in scoring, which is insane to say in his own. He's breaking records left and right this season, cementing his status more and more and more as trying to be one of the best players to ever play the game. But even with LeBron being a certified GOAT, there's no shot that he can carry this team deep into the playoffs. He's carrying them kicking and screaming into the play-in tournament, man. And, I'm not even guaranteed that they're going to make it out of that, depending on who they play against. And even if they do able to make it out of the play-in tournament, it's no shot that they win any other rounds outside of that. So there will be a first-round exit, and that's what Anthony Davis is not. The ancillary pieces around this team is not good enough. And LeBron's partially to blame for that. He did have a hand in building this team and putting the players on this team that is on this team. Everyone knows that LeBron loves playing with veteran players. He doesn't really like playing with younger players. So this team is a veteran team that has a lot of older guys on it, and that's all LeBron's doing. It's definitely him having a hand, and also Rob Pelinka, man, have a backbone, man. Tell that man no. You knew Buddy Hield was probably going to be a better deal to make than Russell Westbrook, and I was saying the whole offseason that DeMar DeRozan is the better pickup for the Lakers to make to be a championship team. And you can see what DeMar DeRozan is doing in Chicago right now. So, the Lakers, they are what they are. I hope they get into the play-in. I hate to see LeBron miss the playoffs, and I love to see LeBron in the playoffs. So I do believe if they make the play-in, they might win the play-in game. It won't be easy, but I believe that LeBron can give you one game. He can get you one game. If you go out there and tell him that you got one game and you make it into the playoffs, he'll find a way to win that game no matter who they're playing against. But beating another team in the best-of-7 series, let alone be the 1 or 2 seed, being either Phoenix or even Memphis or even Golden State, I don't think that's going to happen for them. So we'll keep an eye on them to see what they got going on for the rest of the season. And since I mentioned Golden State, we might as well go to them next. Steph Curry is going to be out for the rest of the season. It looks like he messed up his ankle pretty bad. But I don't think they need him for the rest of the season. I think the way that they are right now, as long as they can stay in one of them top 4 seeds, they'll still be a dominant team in the playoffs. And I don't even think they need them for the first round. The bottom half of the West is kind of mid, as some would say. I think the Warriors can beat any team in the first round that they run into without Steph Curry. So we'll see how they gel well there. Klay Thompson has been upset with his role. He doesn't like the way that Steve Kerr's been using him since he came back from his injury. But now that Steph is not there, they're going to lean on him more and more. And he's going to have his capabilities to show what he's able to do. And I do think that Klay can carry the team far enough into the playoffs until Steph returns. Now, don't get me wrong, they probably won't go far without Steph, so hopefully he gets well soon. Next thing we're going to talk about here is the Brooklyn Nets. We'll talk about the Brooklyn Nets and the Philadelphia 76ers together as a combination. But before we get to the big trade, let's talk about Kyrie. The things that's been going on with Kyrie, man, is insane. You know, the rules really don't make sense. Those laws and regulations that they have up in Brooklyn is not calculating. I'm not understanding how he can attend the game as a fan, but he can't play in the game as a player. Also don't understand how the visiting team's able to play in those games. Though they've been traveling around the country, and if you're worried about elevated risk of the COVID disease, then allowing those players to even play in the games is just as bad as allowing Kyrie to play. So it's not making much sense to me, but the laws are the laws. That's what they have out there in New York, and that's the rules, and Kyrie has to abide by that. It's going to be interesting to see if those rules get flipped before the playoffs come, and if they don't, how Kyrie's going to handle that. I know that since he's been getting so much rest from not playing certain games, especially home games, that he's been able to hoop when he's out there. And he's shown and put on a show for every game that he's played. Here recently, he's had a couple 50-point games, which is crazy and insane to see. And it goes to show you that Kyrie is still one of the best point guards in the NBA when he's on the floor. The Nets just haven't been able to do that here lately. So hopefully he can be able to find some kind of way to get on the floor throughout the course of the playoffs. When it comes to some of those tough teams in the East, they're going to need him for more than just home games. And with them being one of the bottom seeds in the NBA, in the Eastern Conference, they're not going to get many home court advantage games to where they can go down 0-2 and come back, or go up 2-0 with Kyrie playing. So it's going to be interesting to see there. Another player that they have that hasn't been able to touch the floor, Ben Simmons. They traded James Harden to bring in Ben Simmons. Ben Simmons hasn't had a minute on the floor yet since the trade. When the trade first went down, I did say the 76ers won the trade because they didn't have to give up much, and they got the guy that they wanted, and they got the best overall player in the trade in James Harden. And this only proves it more, the fact that Ben Simmons hasn't been able to touch the floor. It started off with mental issues. They was said that he was close to getting corrected there. Now we're hearing that he has herniated disc in his back. So it's no telling when we're going to be able to see Ben Simmons in the Nets uniform, if it at all is this season. I don't think that his first game in the Nets uniform should be in the playoffs. For a guy that has that's struggling with his mental issues, I don't think that's a good way to introduce him to the team. And I don't think you want to start throwing him in the fire like that. So I think he needs to get at least a few games under his belt going into the playoffs in order to be able to perform at his highest peak once they get there. So I think he needs to jump into at least probably 7 to 8 games to get his breath underneath him, to get his conditioning back. He hasn't played all season, so those type of things, he needs to go ahead and get a head start on that to be effective in the playoffs and to be able to help Kevin Durant out. Now, that's not to say that Kevin Durant cannot carry your team. Kevin Durant can win you a series on his own, and with the ancillary pieces that they have around him, it's enough. You'll get Kyrie for maybe 3 or 4 games in the series that's not in Brooklyn, but I think KD is enough. If he can stay healthy, it's definitely enough to carry this team throughout the course of the playoffs. But to talk about the other side of that trade, being James Harden going to Philadelphia, I love the fit with James Harden and Joel Embiid playing together. They're a lot of fun to watch. It's one of the best pick and rolls that you can get in the NBA. And they're winning. They're winning games, which is really important. It's going to be interesting to see how the East shake out. There's so many good teams in the East, going from Miami to Boston to Milwaukee to Philadelphia, everything in between, the Bulls. All these good teams are going to be really kind of nudging each other out. and it's going to make for some good first round, second round matchups in the East. So some of those teams are going to have to get a little stronger there. They're going to have to get a little better on that side. So, I mean, that's basically it. That's the main headlines that kind of went down so far in the NBA this season. I'm pretty sure there's some that you might think are more pressing, but those are really the big key ones that I've missed so far. We're going to be still talking about the NBA as we get closer to the playoffs here. Y'all know I love me some NBA playoffs. So we're definitely going to jump into that once that finally gets going. But drop a comment down below. You let me know who you think is the better player right now, LeBron James or Anthony Davis. I'm interested to have that conversation with you guys. And once again, I appreciate you guys for tuning in. Catch you in the next one. Peace.